Hi, I'm Steve, the introverted traveler. I've made it my mission in life to explore the beaches, deserts, mountains, and even cityscapes around us, and to do so while avoiding contact with as many people as possible. And although I will never hang out with you for any reason, I do invite you to join me on my journey. Come and see the world through the eyes of an extreme introvert. On this edition, we are hiking both the Lost Lake Butte Trail and the Lakeshore Trail at the Lost Lake Resort near Mount Hod in northern Oregon. Along the way, we will see beautiful landscapes, experience a gorgeous alpine lake, and celebrate the return of the King of the Dogs.
Oh yes, he's back. Oh yes.
All of this and much more on this Introverted Travels.
Greetings, and I'm back yet again on yet another adventure. And since my introduction seemed to be getting longer and longer and longer the more I make these videos, let's go ahead and stick to the formula on this one just so I can get through the basics. And then I'll be like a jazz musician and improvise at the end and give you some more detail. So, number one, I'm currently on the Lost Lake Butte Trail out here, of course, in the Mount Hod Wilderness. Now, normally when I say I'm in the Mount Hod Wilderness, I'm only about 50 minutes from my house. Today, however, I decided to go deep into the woods and come to a place called Lost Lake. This is actually about an hour and a half from my house because I actually have to go through the Columbia River Gorge to get here. And you might think to yourself, he's finally in the middle of the woods, he's finally way away from people, he's finally decided to be intelligent and to go where nobody is and to make a video that maybe he won't be whining, complaining, and bitching and screaming about people the entire video. Well, let me tell you the entire title of Lost Lake here. I'm actually at the Lost Lake Resort, literally in the middle of nowhere, literally out here in the Mount Hod Wilderness amongst the forests and the trees and the bears and the cougars and the Bigfoots. But there's people. According to All Trails, the hike up to this butte is about 2 miles to 2 miles from. It's about 4 miles. Actually, All Trails claims it's a little less. So it's about 4 miles or 40 miles. Who knows? Because, again, it's All Trails. Lost Lake Resort. There's a beautiful lake here. And there's a trail that goes around the lake. So my plan is to finish this butte trail and then connect to the lake trail and take you around the lake so you see how beautiful that is. And here's my introvert's crisis. So yes, there are people here. There's a bunch of people here. However, when I left the house this morning, I was preparing myself for a level of people on par with the Pinecrest Lake, which is the lake that I visited in my Cleo's bath video. Go watch that video if you want to know what the hell I'm talking about. I was expecting to get here and see jet skis and motorboats and people screaming and dogs going wild and people jumping in the water and unicorn floaties. So my expectation in my heart was already, prepared to deal with a level of people that is like nightmare plus. But when I got here, there were only like an eighth that number of people here. So yes, it's terrible that there's people here. I mean, it's awful. They're in my solitude, they're in my face, blah, blah, blah. But I was expecting like huge hundreds of people, huge crowds. I prepared myself for huge crowds today. I prepared myself for the Armageddon of ranting today. But instead, I get a lake that has people, it has some cabins and there's a general store and people are fishing and boating. It was relatively, I was like, what the hell? I mean, I could actually tolerate it. And so the introvert's crisis is, of course, am I losing my edge? There's soul-sucking mind vampires all over the place, aka, other human beings. And yet, I was just prepared for a lot worse. I can handle a couple of dozen people. A couple of 100 people makes me want to smash my head into all sorts of solid objects. If we're doing an introversion weather forecast, I'm actually, I'm not doing too bad. And that's freaking me out. Because I should be angry that other people exist. I don't know how miserable I'm going to be today. I've only seen 2 people so far on this trail, as opposed to like the 20 people at the trailhead that I saw on like every other previous hike I've done this summer. I'm just worried I'm not going to be as miserable and as funny and as biting as I usually am, just because I actually found a place that's not infested. I mean, it's infested, but it's not like overrun. What the hell, Oregon? All summer, you have thrown me into places that are full of people in the middle of nowhere. There's just trail runners, and there's mountain bikers, and there's annoyances, and there's talking, and there's loud idiots, and there's children. You've thrown that at me all summer. And I come to a place that's an actual resort, and you're like, psych. This is a weird one. Oregon's deciding to mess with my head. All right, I think I've done the formula. I told you where I am. I told you what I'm doing. I've made a prolonged rant about people. I've made fun of all trails a little bit. I think we're good. I think we've covered all our bases. Well, my introversion crisis continues. Because believe it or not, I'm already like halfway to the peak. I'm at about a mile, and the peak is about at 2 miles. And I've only seen 4 people. And yeah, on a usual day, I saw 4 people. And yeah, it was awful. I saw 4 people. My heart exploded. My soul died, et cetera, et cetera. But I was expecting 40 people on this trail. I was expecting so much more. But today, well, I don't know what to do with myself. I mean, I've seen 4 people, as I said. That was terrible, but it was 2 people going back, 2 people going up. So there's at least 2 people in front of me, and I gotta prepare myself for that. But I was already prepared for that. I was prepared for so much worse. That doesn't even really irritate me. And then that's what's causing me a crisis here. Is am I going to become just like every other hiking creator here on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and wherever the hell else I put this crap? I mean, other hiking creators suck. They're boring. They just go out there and you're like, oh, look, I'm in the wilderness. I am walking on this trail, and this trail is approximately 4 miles long, and I came here with my dog, but my dog is down with my wife, and I blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm sorry, if you're a hiking, vlogger or a hiking creator of any kind, and you're watching this video, my apologies, but more than likely you suck. I mean, you guys are so boring. And those of you who go out and do something crazy and film that, okay, you're a little more exciting maybe even than I am, but most of you are so milquetoast. All you do is go out and talk about hiking. Hiking is a metaphor for the failure and misery that is the human race. I mean, I come out here and I see people behaving in ways that are absolutely appalling in nature. They treat this place, and I've done this many, many times on videos. I've talked about this a trillion times, so this is nothing new. They treat this place like it's a mall. They treat it like they can do anything they want. They come out here, they scream, they shout, they pollute, they trail run. Oh, well, that's Armageddon right there. And they have little regard for other people, and they treat nature like it's literally just another capitalist endeavor like the rest of society, and it's materialistic, and they do whatever the hell they want. So really, hiking is a metaphor for the misery, pain, and suffering that is existence itself, and for the fact that the human race is a virus slowly draining the life of the rest of the universe around it. That's what I get out of hiking, at least. What are you guys getting out of hiking? It's pretty, and hey, there's a squirrel. No, it's awful, and there's nightmarish humans out there. Most hiking videos? No, it's like watching paint dry. It's like watching paint dry with a sack over your head that's painted on the inside, and you're watching that paint dry. So you're watching paint dry through paint drying. I don't want to become that. Well, here's an update. This is not the most exciting hike. Aside from all the introvert crisis stuff I've been talking about in the rest of the video. It's literally looked like this so far the entire time. Now, this is beautiful. It's a nice, lush, dense forest. There is solitude. There is silence. Everything an introvert could ever hope for. But as far as, filming it and being a content creator, it's just more of the same. I am literally about 1.25 miles to the peak. The peak is about 2 miles, so I've only got 3/4 of a mile left. That's real math, not introverted math. That's actual real math. You go actually check that out. It's amazing. I finally doing something that isn't made up pulled out of my butt. But yeah, I've got about 0.75 miles or so left, give or take. I'm going off of all trails, so who knows? I could have 20 miles left, but so far, it's just been forest. it is nice once in a while to find something like this. I mean, it is beautiful. It is quiet. You can hear, look, listen. You can hear the wind. You can hear the sounds of nature. Close your eyes and just let the sounds of wind relax you. And imagine it flowing through the trees like it is on this video. The sun beating down on the forest. Not another soul in sight. Just you and the trees and the weird bald guy talking creepily into a GoPro. I mean, that's beautiful right there. I mean, that's some deep, introverted ASMR crap right there. See, I told you. Look at that. That's the worst of humanity right there. You know, it's a tiny piece of candy wrapper, but still, when you come out here, you pack out what you pack in. No, people don't care. They're not paying attention. They're dropping litter all over the ground. You know, this is why you have me. I am the hero. This is why I am better and more entertaining than almost every other hiking vlogger and blogger and content creator out there, because I'm willing to stand up for Mother Nature. I'm willing to stand up for, you know, the universe, and I'm willing to call out the destruction and chaos caused by that tiny sliver of candy wrapper. Okay, well, maybe I'm being a little dramatic, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to demonstrate actually what humans can do to be positive, and I'm going to actually pick up that little itty bitty piece of candy wrapper and put it in my pocket, and I'll throw it away when I get back to the campsite, or I'll throw it away in my car. It'll just stay in there forever because the car is a trash heap anyway. Seriously, there's a damn cereal litterer out here, or more than likely they had it in like backpack or something and their pocket was open. But damn it, humans, that's going to be the death of us. Which I'm not necessarily discouraging, but again, I'm going to clean this one up and go in a more positive direction. And I'm going to keep hiking. Okay, that's awesome. So, I'm at the peak. At the moment, there's nobody up here with me, but I heard voices behind me, and real voices, not whatever screams inside my brain. And there were two people that came up here before me. They never came back down, and I don't think there's any other trails, so I'm just going to assume the volcano ate them and hope that they don't pop out of the bushes and go, hey, how you doing? Good morning, But I'll make this fast because there were other hikers coming up behind me. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, we've seen that thing at like 5,000 different angles, but there it is again. Mount Hod. And I hear people. Okay, let me finish this and I'll talk to you later. Well, I spoke way too soon, but that theory that I'm always talking about, that no matter how empty the trail is and no matter how few people you see on your way to the cool thing, the peak or the waterfall or whatever you're going to, once you get there, they will show up. Well, guess what? They showed up. Oh, there were 6 of them. They were college age. You know, college age, the next generation, the hope for the world's future. If the hooting and the hollering and the stupidity that I saw is the world's future, heaven help us all. I just realized I really do sound like an old man. Holy crap, am I old? But they came, I left. So I'm actually still up here because I was trying to do some photography, but I guess I forgot the SD card for the camera. But I'm happy to report that although I was worried about it in the beginning of my video, after that atrocity, after seeing 6 youths, not kids, but youths, which are even worse than kids because they're between adults who irritate the hell out of me and kids who irritate the hell out of me. So they irritate the hell out of me. But after seeing them, oh no, I'm not losing my introverted mojo. I haven't lost my edge. I still loathe and despise all human beings. I'm glad to see that the spirit is still with me. Here is that mysterious pair of stairs, or 3-stair, or I don't know what it's technically called, but it's a bunch of stairs just in the middle of nowhere. And obviously there was some kind of structure here at some point. But for my audience, I would just like to point out that Cubone was here. And not only was Cubone excited to, deface public property there, he came all the way over here on whatever this support structure was and wrote his name again. So, as I've ranted about in the past, obviously Cubone, whoever the hell that is, brought with him some sort of marker that may be white out. I don't know. A lot of you people know exactly the technical stuff you need for graffiti because you're little delinquents that go around, defacing and destroying public property. But I don't know. It could be white out. It could be like bird crap for all I know. But whatever it was, Cubone carried it 2 miles up the hill here, up the mountain, to the peak, and decided that he was so important to this world that we needed to know that Cubone was here. Well, Cubone, you're an awful human being, and I'm leaving. Come on, I've already had this, man. I've already talked about the graffiti artists. I've already talked about how they deface property, how it's ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. And every time I do, I get the graffiti artists coming on here going, oh, humans used to draw on caves. Yeah, like drawing on caves 50,000 years ago is the equivalent of Cubone was here. Some of you people. All right, so I've made it back down to basically where I started, actually before where I started, because I tried to get out of the campground area before I actually, started making weird rants. But I don't know if you can see it. Actually, no, because it's behind a tree, but somewhere over there, behind a tree, is a tent. So there's a campground right there. Now I'd show it to you, but you know what a tent looks like. It's like orange and big, and there's people in it, and that's awful. But anyway, so I'm back down to Lost Lake Resort, or whatever it is, the campgrounds in the lake. So what we're gonna do, instead of me ending in here, because that was barely anything, that was 4 miles. I need at least 6 to 7 to get my full complaining out for the week. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually do the loop around the lake. Now it's an easy loop, it's flat, there's no challenge to it, but it's beautiful, and it might give me a chance to rant a little bit more on how terrible humanity is. That's my bread and butter right here. Well, here's some interesting information. First of all, this is the Lost Lake Butte Trail, number 616. We already knew that. All right, so the distance is 2 miles. We knew that. We knew that All Trails was full of it because it said it was less than 2 miles up to the summit. It is snow-free here from June to September. Well, that's depressing. That's what, 4 or 5 months? Even the Sierra Nevada gave me October. I mean, come on. Difficulty moderate. Now, here's the part that's really interesting. So, trail highlights. On a clear day, views of Mount Hod, Jefferson, Rainier, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's a bunch of volcanoes out there. We already knew that. There's views of Mount Defiance, large and Indian mountains. Yeah, more mountains. Okay, that's exciting. More rocks. And the trail ascends at a moderate grade, passing through timber that blah, 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 blah. The remains of an old fire lookout are found just below the summit. So that's what that pair of stairs and what those supports were. That's an old fire lookout. That's the one that Boner 69 or whatever is it, Cubone, that was his name. Boner 69 is a way better name, by the way. If you go out and graffiti something, absolutely don't do it. But if you absolutely have to, put Boner 69 was here. That's way funnier than Cubone. But yeah, those were the remains that Cubone, you know, desecrated out there with his Sharpie or his whiteout or whatever the hell that was. So I was on a lookout. It wasn't just random stairs in the forest. And yeah, so that's the trail marker. This is actually the trailhead. And we are back. Let's go find the lake. Let's go around the lake. And then let's get the hell out of here. Because it's enough being outside for one day. Okay, this is more of what I was expecting. I guess I was just here too early because now there are people everywhere. Oh, it is awful. It is soul draining and it is terrible. But I prepared myself for it. So, we're at the lake. I had a better shot a minute ago, but we're at the lake. We're gonna do about 3 miles around the lake. And guess what? I couldn't do this alone. There's too many people. I need moral support, folks. So, oh yes, he's back. Oh yes. Well, so far, this is everything my nightmares could have hoped for. I mean, there's loud, obnoxious music. There's people hanging out by the beach. There's families with children. Oh, they're obnoxious. They're loud. There's freaking water floaties. There's pool floaties. There's like inflatable whatevers. It is a complete and total hell. And it is exactly what I prepared myself for today. So earlier I was complaining because I thought I lost my inverted mojo because, you know, it just wasn't happening. There was nobody here. When I was gone, when I took off and went up to the peak, they came. And now they're here. Oh. Well, okay. That's not a bad view. So now I'm down the trail a bit. And most of the, you know, insufferable, awful human behavior is down towards where the actual resort is. But now that I'm down the lake a bit, I get good views. And it's quiet. There's nobody down here except for me and, you know, Boy Wonder over there. But yeah, there's Mount Hod. Look how majestic it looks for the 1 billionth time. Because we've seen, I swear I've seen it at every angle and every direction. It from far away to close up. Oh, I've seen that damn mountain so much this summer. But it goes to show that there's a lot to do up here. And now we're at a beautiful, gorgeous lake. Unfortunately, there's other people here too. But yeah, at the moment we're actually off the grid, so to speak. We're away from the partiers and the kayakers and the wakeboarders or whatever the hell else is over there, and we have a little bit of beauty. Oh, that's not bad. It's better than I could have hoped for. I figured it was just going to be, you know, children screaming for 3 miles around this lake, and, you know, the volcano was hidden behind clouds or ash or something. But no, that's a pretty good view. So, you really can't tell where we are, and you really can't even see the lake at all. I mean, this is thick forest. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And the dog and I are about halfway through the loop around the lake. And despite what I said earlier, there's still people. There's a lot of walkers. Luckily, no trail runners. Thank goodness. I get a week of reprieve from those freaking psychopaths. But I have a lot of tourists. There's literally people out on the water. Of course, I have to deal with people out on boats and then that floaties and all sorts of crap. But luckily, no motorboats, no jet skis, no global warming pollution, nothing. Just, paddles and, fishing boats and that type of stuff. Which I as much as I hate the fact that people are here, and we all know that, I would much rather have those type of boats than the type that are literally destroying our environment and pushing us to the brink of extinction. It's just my own personal preference. But anyway, it's beautiful out here. Check this out. And look at that. I mean, I'm sure somewhere up there is a Bigfoot, because there's, of course, one Bigfoot per every square mile here in Oregon and the Pacific Northwest in general. So somewhere up there, I'm sure there's a big, scary Bigfoot just watching me, waiting to roll like a giant log down on me if I get too close, something like that. But what's really scary is I've seen a lot of tourists. I mean, I'll take logs being rolled by giant, monsters any day over people. We are about to hit the top curve of the lake and start heading back towards my car. We're going to do our trail reading really fast because, otherwise I'm not going to be able to get to it because there be people. So, we'll do this as fast as we can. We rate our trails on a scale of 1 to 10. It's an introversion scale, with 1 being absolute introvert hell, and that is the equivalent of Disneyland on the 4th of July. I mean, you think you hear children screaming now. Wait until you see children in Disneyland on the 4th of July watching the fireworks blow up Mickey and watching Goofy, get run over by a roller coaster, watching the Matterhorn literally landslide on top of Minnie. I mean, it's an absolute horror show there, and it is an absolute introvert's nightmare. Now, compare that to an introvert's dream, introvert nirvana, which is a 10 on our introversion scale, and that's middle of a field in Antarctica, summer field, just you and your gigantic trained army of penguins. There's no humans for hundreds and hundreds of miles, and they keep away for a reason. Oh yes, the penguins will get them. The penguins will get them. But that is the solitude and isolation that a true introvert needs. That's a 10 on our introversion scale. So, between 1 and 10, 1 being hell for an introvert, 10 being heaven. The 2 trails that I did today, which included Lost Lake Butte and literally the loop here around Lost Lake, I'm going to go ahead and put the Butte Trail as about a 5. Unfortunately, for most of the ascent up to the Butte, I was alone. It was quiet. I was prepared for a lot more, but it was nice to have solitude, isolation, and so forth. But then I got to the peak, and they came. So, because they showed up at the peak, he's staring at something behind me and won't move. So, we'll finish here. Because they came to the peak, because that peak was busy and people kept coming up, I have to deduct points there. So it was about a 5. And of course, this trail, which is around a relatively busy lake, we're going to put that about a 3. It's a beautiful trail. It's a nice trail. It's around a beautiful lake. But there's people. So, we'll average it out. I'm not actually going to average it out because I can't do, more than 1 plus 1 in my head. So let's say overall the hike is about a 4. Now, misery index. We kind of talked about this earlier. That's a measure of my own misery, with 1 being no misery whatsoever. Total pipe dream because I'm always miserable to one degree or another. And a 5 being the worst misery I've ever experienced. Of course, I blow up the scale every single video. I'm usually at a 5 plus infinity. But today, well, at the moment, I'm hearing kids scream and I'm, seeing paddle boats. So I'm probably pushing 5. But in general, it's been about a 3. Unfortunately, there have been times when I've been exposed to other human beings. And that's just sick and wrong. But overall, there have been pockets of solitude. This has actually completely surprised me. This hike has been very surprising. I was expecting Pinecrest Lake level insanity. And yeah, there's some insanity here, but I mean, there's no motorboats. I have yet to see one damn unicorn floaty, which thank goodness. So, it's not as bad as I expected. That means that on the introversion scale, we're at about a 4. On the misery index, I'm just going to call it a 3. So, overall, not bad. But I'm already getting tired of hearing, children screaming and people laughing and all that crap. So I'm going to get the hell out of here. I'm going to round the lake. I'm going to go back to my car. I'm going to get into my car. And I'm going to go. There's people coming. That's our scales. Let's go. I'm going to do this fast because there's people everywhere. We're here late in the afternoon and they've come. So I'm less than a mile from the trailhead at this point, which means I'm less than a mile from my car, which means it's time for us to say goodbye. But before that, quick recap. So today we've done 2 trails. We are at the Lost Lake Resort here, of course, in the Mount Hod wilderness. We did the trail up to Lost Lake Butte and the loop trail around Lost Lake. And along the way, well, we saw a few flowers here and there. We saw some beautiful shots of Mount Hod. Of course, we've seen that like 50,000 times, so I don't know how special that is anymore. And of course, we saw beautiful shots of the king of all dogs. But now it is time for us to part. And it's time for me to say, stay introverted, everyone. And of course, I'll see you in the next adventure.